Well, how do we do that? Joining us this morning, an AI ethicist at Cambridge University, Dr. Henry Shevlin. Doctor, how do we get both sides of that coin? How do you think it'll go? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yeah, well, so Rishi Sunak is positioning the UK as a global leader in this issue, but it's going to be difficult to simultaneously be attractive to investment and also try and build the kind of public trust that the government has made it clear that it is one of its priorities. Innovation and trust don't have to be at odds with each other, but of course this is a new technology and a lot of people are concerned.
Innovation and trust and also profits don't always go side by side. Businesses aren't famously particularly good when it comes to regulating themselves when there's an opportunity to make money. So is this asking for something that's unlikely to be, brought in, just saving himself the hassle of doing the regulation himself?
Well, I think we do have some successful histories of regulation through industry regulators, groups like Ofcom, but also some famous missteps. A lot of people will remember things like the exam fiasco with Ofqual, with the A-levels during COVID. So industry regulation through regulatory bodies in the UK has got a mixed history. But I think it's reasonable to think that's a solid model to work with. But right now, there is no dedicated AI regulator. And I think a lot of AI ethicists like myself think this is such a special technology, we need a new regulator with experts who know all about the technology specifics and all the crazy stuff that's coming around the corner.
Ethicist, just explain to us, Doctor, what exactly that is, what you are most concerned about, how in practice you could apply the way you think.
So AI ethics is a new field, as you can probably guess, that includes philosophers, computer scientists, sociologists, historians, and the goal is to try and basically figure out how our society is going to deal with AI and what the main risks are. Some people are much more concerned about the long-term risks, things like the so-called existential risks, the idea that AI might wipe us out as a species, which is something that is easy to dismiss, but a lot of people in tech itself take quite seriously. But there's also the kind of shorter term risks, things about privacy, bias, surveillance, and so forth. So I think it's balancing those short and long term risks that's one of the current hot debates in AI ethics.
And it's interesting, the people you mentioned that are involved in sort of AI ethics, but you didn't mention the Church. But the Church of England featured on the front of the Times this morning. And they're saying that artificial intelligence should be imbued with human emotions, such as empathy and compassion. Is that even possible?
Wow, that's a very controversial topic again. So there are some who, I'd include myself in this camp, who think that, in some ways we are basically computers. So if we can do it, there's no reason you couldn't build an AI to do it, that you could give an AI consciousness, emotions, and so forth. But I think it's clear we're quite a long way from that stage still. Although a long way in AI ethics right now may only mean, 5 or 10 years. But no one has figured out how to build an AI with emotions just yet.
Doctor, every time I turn on the telly to watch a film, a streaming film, or, you look at what's coming out in the cinema, it's always about AI gone wrong. And I have to say, Isabel and I come in here and we sit and talk, and we're a bit worried. We're a bit worried for the future, for our children's future, whatever, on this. Are you worried, Doctor? How do you see the future? Are you confident that all will turn out well?
I am excited and terrified, I think, if I'm honest. And I think the closer people are to the technology, the more of those emotions are mixed together. I've seen wonders in the last 2 or 3 years that I couldn't have predicted when I started working on AI a decade ago. On the other hand, the speed of change is like nothing I've ever seen in my life before. In no other industry do you have sort of this incredible pace. So I think terror is a little bit of terror is legitimate, but I think it's also important to keep in mind the incredible potential of these systems that could revolutionize everything from healthcare to education to scientific research. So it's balancing the terror and the wonder, I think, is the challenge.
Yeah, and against the clock, as you say. How confident are you that under Rishi Sunak's seemingly lead on this, that the world is awake to the possibilities of it getting into the wrong hands, the Putins, whoever it might be? Because we're told it's 2 years, really, is the window of opportunity. Do you think we're going to be rapid enough in our response?
Well, I've been really pleasantly surprised at how quickly AI ethics has gone from being a fairly marginal topic of conversation to something that is on everyone's lips. And even the kind of the risks that people previously dismissed as more sci-fi, the idea that, AI could one day kill us all, those risks that were easy to dismiss a couple of years ago are back on the agenda. I don't think they should be the only thing on the agenda, but I do think they're worth taking seriously. So in general, I've been really pleasantly surprised by the last 3 months. And I think it's been it's been helpful in that regard that so many of the top AI developers, people like Geoffrey Hinton, who recently resigned from Google, that these people are coming forward saying, look, we need urgent regulation now. And I am also pleasantly surprised by Rishi Sunak's moves in this regard.
It's funny you use the term sci-fi, which, according to my memory of programs in the 60s and the 70s, turned out to be sci-fact. So often, and if you look at an old episode of Star Trek, the original series, Dr. Artificial intelligence, it never turns out well. That's all I'm saying. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you for your reassurance and your optimism.